Behind the velvet ropes of exclusive nightclubs, behind closed doors in smoke-filled rooms, behind the shadows of history, lie some of the most feared and powerful figures the world has ever known. Mafia bosses who ruled with an iron fist. These weren't just men, they were empires built on a foundation of loyalty, fear, and an unspoken code of silence. These crime lords shaped the underworld, evading justice while commanding respect and fear. Welcome to Prime Top 10. Today we're counting down the top 10 mafia bosses of all time. Our journey into the heart of organized crime begins with a man who epitomized the quiet menace of the underworld, Carlo Gambino, known as the Godfather. Gambino was the head of the infamous Gambino crime family in New York. For nearly 2 decades he ruled his empire not with a roar, but with a whisper. While other bosses craved the limelight, Gambino preferred to operate with an understated hand, manipulating events from a distance. This low-key style made him a legend in the world of organized crime. His ability to maintain order within his family, while simultaneously expanding their influence, solidified his position as one of the most powerful figures in mafia history. Carlo Gambino, the man they called the Godfather, remains an enigma, a chilling reminder that the most dangerous predators often hunt from the shadows. In the intricate machinery of organized crime, muscle often takes center stage. But behind every successful operation there's a calculating mind, a strategist who understands that true power lies in the flow of money. Meet Meyer Lansky, the man they called the mob's accountant. Lansky was a financial genius, a mastermind who could turn dirty money into legitimate fortunes. He saw opportunities where others saw only risk, recognizing the potential of Las Vegas long before it became the glittering gambling mecca it is today. Though he was investigated numerous times, Lansky, much like a phantom, managed to stay one step ahead of the law. Meyer Lansky, the mob's accountant, proved that in the world of crime, the sharpest weapon is often a brilliant mind. Our journey takes us now from the neon lights of Las Vegas to the bustling streets of Mumbai, where we encounter a figure shrouded in mystery and fear, Dawood Ibrahim. Ibrahim is the mastermind behind D Company, a sprawling criminal organization with tentacles reaching across the globe. Born in the slums of Mumbai, Ibrahim rose from petty crime to become one of the world's most wanted fugitives. His empire is built on a foundation of fear and intimidation, his reach extending from the back alleys of Mumbai to the glittering skyscrapers of Dubai. Dawood Ibrahim is a chilling reminder that the reach of organized crime knows no boundaries, a global phantom who continues to cast a long shadow over the world. Chapter 4. Frank Lucas, the American Gangster. The mean streets of Harlem in the 1970s formed the backdrop for our next entry, a man who rose from poverty to become a symbol of both the allure and the devastation of the American drug trade. Frank Lucas. Lucas daringly established a direct pipeline to Southeast Asia, smuggling heroin in the coffins of American soldiers returning from the Vietnam War. This audacious move flooded the streets of New York with high-quality drugs, earning Lucas millions and cementing his reputation as a criminal mastermind. His story, a classic tale of ambition, greed, and ultimately downfall, was immortalized in the film American Gangster, starring Denzel Washington. Frank Lucas's life, though ultimately ending in prison, serves as a stark reminder of the seductive power of the drug trade and the devastating impact it has on communities. Chapter 5. John Gotti, the Teflon Don. John Gotti, the Teflon Don, craved the spotlight and controlled the underworld. Known for evading conviction, he was a media darling. His tailored suits and confident swagger made him a celebrity, but behind the charm lurked a ruthless predator. As head of the Gambino crime family, his reign was marked by violence and a disregard for the law. John Gotti, a paradox, proved even the most crafted image can crumble. Chapter 6. Lucky Luciano, the Architect. To understand the American Mafia, one must delve into its roots, into the era of Prohibition when a young Sicilian immigrant began his rise to power. Charles "Lucky" Luciano. Luciano was a visionary, a ruthless strategist who recognized the potential of organized crime in a nation grappling with prohibition. He saw an opportunity to build an empire on the insatiable thirst for illegal liquor, and he seized it with both hands. Under Luciano's guidance, the 5 families of New York were born, a move that brought order to chaos and established a framework that would shape organized crime for decades to come. Lucky Luciano, the architect of the modern American Mafia, was a transformative figure, a man who took a chaotic underworld and molded it into a powerful and enduring force. Chapter 7. Al Capone, Scarface. Our journey now takes us to the heart of the Roaring Twenties, to the city of Chicago, where a young gangster with a talent for brutality and a nose for business was about to become a legend: Al Capone. Capone, or Scarface as he was known, was the embodiment of the American gangster. He rose to power during the chaos of Prohibition, building his empire on a foundation of bootlegging, gambling, and violence. Capone was a master of intimidation, his name whispered in hushed tones from the streets of Chicago to the halls of Congress. In the end, it wasn't the violence or the intimidation that brought Capone down, but the one thing he couldn't outrun or outgun: the taxman. Al Capone, the notorious Scarface, remains an enduring symbol of the excesses and violence of the Prohibition era, a cautionary tale of the fleeting nature of power. Chapter 8. Pablo Escobar, the King of Cocaine. From the mountains of Colombia, a young man built a drug empire unlike any the world had ever seen: Pablo Escobar. Escobar turned the cocaine trade into a multi-billion-dollar industry. He controlled the flow of cocaine into the United States, amassing a fortune. A ruthless killer, yet he built schools and hospitals in Medellin. In the end, his empire crumbled around him. Chapter 9. Vito Genovese, the Quiet Assassin. Our journey through the history of organized crime takes us back to the streets of New York, where we encounter a man who epitomized the cold, calculating brutality at the heart of the Mafia: Vito Genovese. Genovese was a different breed of mob boss. He wasn't flamboyant like Gotti, nor did he court the media. He preferred to operate in the shadows, a silent predator with a chillingly pragmatic approach to power. Vito Genovese, the Quiet Assassin, was a chilling reminder that true power often lies not in brute force, but in the cold, calculating mind of a master strategist. Chapter 10. El Chapo, the Uncrowned King. Rising from humble beginnings, Joaquin El Chapo Guzman became the most powerful drug lord ever, synonymous with the global narcotics trade. Master of logistics, he transformed the Sinaloa Cartel into a multi-billion-dollar enterprise. His reach spanned from Mexico to Chicago, South America to Europe. His legend grew with daring prison escapes. He bribed officials and built tunnels to evade capture. Eventually, he was extradited to the U.S., now serving a life sentence. El Chapo, the Uncrowned King, symbolizes the challenges of organized crime today. Outro legacy of shadows. Their names echo through history, whispered in hushed tones and splashed across headlines. These mafia bosses weren't just criminals, they were power brokers, strategists, and, in a twisted way, cultural icons. They built empires on a foundation of fear and violence, leaving behind a legacy of both fascination and revulsion. Who do you think is the most notorious boss of them all? Was it the quiet menace of Carlo Gambino, the financial genius of Meyer Lansky, the brutal efficiency of El Chapo? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Prime Top 10 for more fascinating content.